This is a test. Test, test. Check, check. Mic check. 1, 2. All right. Gravy, my friend.
8 o'clock.
Signal, signal. You see the signal, Jake? See it? Signal, signal, signal. Texas, you see it? Check. Check, 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 check. 1, 2. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Check, check, check. 1, 2. Hey, hey. Test, test. Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check. Check, check, check. Oh, you're good? Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check.
Live stream feed that went back to pre-fader.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Emiliano, very good friend.
It was just we're just testing the live stream, man. Live stream's getting it as well. Oh, so Barry's gonna be holding on to it, and then this one I'll put it on the nightstand right there.
Okay, so that's one of them.
Right.
I got it.
That's is that an audience mic or is that yours?
That's my mic, but you got the audience mic is there.
Right. It's in my hand right now. But I'll bring it over.
There's only one?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay.
The so yeah, the live stream feed is in pre-fader.
Oh, post.
Okay.
Especially if we have everybody.
In this area? Yeah. Oh, you want a handheld? So they're not walking over people to get to the mic?
Check, check, check. All right.
Whoops. Hey, Barry. Hey, Barry. Barry. In addition to what Barry will be reporting on at this year's Winter NAMM, the Audio Engineering Society hosted the AES Academy, formerly known as AES at NAMM. The 4-day event comprised a series of training academies and related sessions covering line array technologies, live sound mixing consoles, studio and wireless microphones, and control room environments. In addition to tutorials on sound system measurement and optimization, and other insights into the audio sciences. All AES Academy sessions were available to current AES members, including students, at a $25 advance registration rate. So what that means is if you didn't get it in time, we stuck it to you. Okay, so this year the Measurement and Optimization Academy returned mornings with an assortment of important and in-depth offerings. In its third year, the Live Console Academy returned with a variety of twice-daily, half-day, hands-on console training workshops. The Line Array Academy also offered 4 days of workshops in a classroom setting. Bringing the Boom was the focus of the newly developed Electronic Dance Music, or EDM Academy, on Saturdays. On Thursday, Audio Science and Technology sessions presented specially curated topics in 1-hour sessions. The Control Room Academy presented 4 2-hour training sessions on both Thursday and Friday on control room applications of leading technologies. On Friday, the In-Ear Monitor Academy returned with sessions covering all aspects of in-ear monitoring fundamentals. Let's see if I can get to my last page here. The Microphone Academy events on Friday explored piano, orchestra, and choir mic solutions, virtual microphones, and everybody's favorite ribbon mics. On Saturday, the Wireless Academy returned, it should have been Sunday, as well as a special house of worship, focus of console and wireless sessions. Recording guru and noted Bobby Osinski reprised by popular demand a special main stage studio series of Saturday sessions. So if you missed any of these fantastic learning and networking opportunities offered by your friends at the Audio Engineering Society, mark your calendars for the next AES Academy. I don't know do we do anything like that in Nashville in the summer? Anybody know for NAMM? I don't know. But Anaheim is so much more fun than Nashville. We got Mickey. And without any further ado, ladies and germs, I'd like to present the very lovely and talented Mr. Barry Rudolph.
Thank you. Show of hands, how many went to the show, NAMM show in Anaheim? Pretty good. What's about maybe 2/3? Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, I was there. There you go. Yeah, I was there. Yeah, I was mostly the North Halls, and then Hall A, and then of course Hall B and C are, lethal noise level. Probably don't want to go there. And D is, I think, the drum hall, and that's Hall E down there in the basement. I find very interesting. When you go, make sure you stop by there. I have a couple of products that I found down there, and we'll see how tweaking. Right away, I want to thank Ivana Manley right here for sponsoring the food tonight. This is awesome. Very, very nice. Everybody feels.
Anthrax.
Yeah. Yes. I'm immune. So, there's a lot of things. I focus mostly on pro audio and things audio in general. So, often question I get from people is, "What do you see at NAMM?" I go, "Oh boy," or "What did you like at NAMM? What was your favorite?" And I have found 2 or 3 that I'll have here that I'll show you. The first one is a company called Austrian Audio. And the backstory is interesting because these are about 33 engineers and brainiacs from AKG in Austria. And I don't know, my last name, I'm Austrian, half Austrian, so maybe I'm pointed that way or something. But these guys broke away and they started their own company, Austrian Audio. The first 2 mics are the cardioid only on the left there, $699, and the OC 818, $899. What attracts me to new products like this is a good idea, and they're not trying to gouge you. I haven't heard these yet, but I hope to get a pair. So let's look at these real quick. There's the 818 and the shock mount. You can see all the patterns and whatnot. That's the biggest microphone I've ever seen. Okay, so first of all, at the top, the way that the polar pattern is changed on the OCA18 is over Bluetooth. You can remotely control all the functionality of the mic from a Bluetooth app. The mic also has two outputs, one for the front-facing capsule and one for the rear-facing capsule. It's the current Bluetooth. There's a dongle they give you that plugs into the rear output. The new Bluetooth, we'll talk about later, but it's, so this GUI you see here is a screenshot from my computer, and when you record both capsules on separate tracks, you're able to, after the recording, change all the polar patterns by frequency. So you could have all the frequencies, say above 10K, could be omnidirectional. The frequencies in a range of frequencies, like say from 500 to 3K, like I have that dip there. I have them set to hypercardioid. I mean, there's all, it's limitless if you've recorded the mic on 2 tracks. So I just thought all that was just so great. You have 3 different high-pass filters, 2 analog, 3 settings, 2 types of analog pads. It's deep. So you're controlling the polarization voltage with a microprocessor.
I was just going to add, is that automatable?
I'm sure it is. If it's a plug-in, they can see that's the Pro Tools GUI there. I'm sure it is. If you don't want to go through all this, it will memorize and hold a setup on every time you turn it on. It'll be that setup. If you want to use the same setup every time you use, like for example, if you're doing vocals and you want the same pickup on the lead vocal, you know, a week from now you can plug it in. So this is my idea, like my feeling about new products and new companies at the shows. This is really a bunch of really talented people. I think there's 33 of them from AKG, and they've got something going on. They also are making headphones. Here is a mic, another kind of Tone Lux. It's the JC37, Joe Ciccarelli's version of the Sony C37. Tone Lux is making it, and it is, for all intents and purposes, just like the original Sony, pretty much. I mean, it has the same tube, 6AU6, which is the same tube in a Sony C800G, if you're familiar with that mic. And Sony said they could not get enough of those tubes to be able to continue that mic, which is crap, because Alan Hyatt told me he has 20,000 of them in stock. So the power supply will run 2 microphones. It's cardioid only. The original had a pattern switch on the back. They've scrapped that. Anyway, they had one of these, and they had a C37 from Sunset Sound nearby, side by side, and you could check out them. Pretty good. Another oldie, but I don't know what you call it. It's a copy of the U47 FET, the Neumann mic. Dual diaphragm. It's originally a cardioid. Pretty much the same. They did not elect to put the output pad. The original had both a capsule pad and a 6 dB output pad. They didn't bother with that. Haven't heard it yet, but for $800. Okay, this might take some explaining. I can find it. Oh. So this is the, you haven't seen this before, but this is a product by Centrance. It's a stereo, that's a mixer and an interface, and the 2 mics on top are what's new, and they're set up right now in XY. So you could go in and record, and these are condenser mics, they're phantom powered, and this gadget hooks to your phone or your laptop. Let's see what the mics look like. So in this mode, you're in podcast mode where the interviewee is on the left and the interviewer is on the right. So you have this mode. It just means you rotate the mics, or that mode. And it's a pivot mic, they call it. And what else do I have here? Oh, there you go. No, it's just the mics. This is the recorder, well, the interface. And you plug this into your phone or your laptop. It's got USB and Thunderbolt and all that stuff, and has a mixer. So it's two separate products. So these mics, of course, will work anywhere. They just come out like that. Pretty cool, I think. Here's a company, Chinese mic company, and they've upped their quality quite a bit now. It uses the same tube as the U67 pentode, and power supply and everything, variable pattern on the power supply. And I had the version 1. It wasn't bad, but they had tremendous problems with quality control. A lot of returns. I think 4 in 10 mics were returned. That's pretty bad. So they've upped their game a bit. AKG came through with another podcasting mic. I mention it because it does have 4 capsules inside. You're able to have all those different patterns. It's an interface, so it plugs right into your computer. It has a headphone monitoring amp. So again, kind of on the podcasting bit, but they put a mute button on the front, like the old cough switch. You remember in radio? You're about to cough, you'd hit this button and it would mute the mic. Same idea. So I haven't seen a cough button for a long time.
Did you hear it?
Yeah, I have one. Yeah, it's USB mic. Yeah, it's cool. Telefunken came with ELA M260 cardioid. This is a small diaphragm. I'm always interested in small diaphragm tube mics. They just sound so great. Drum overheads, acoustic guitar, just a lot of uses for a small diaphragm. Fast responding. This one you can screw on different capsule heads, Omni, hypercardioid, and they sell a master pair is $28.95, but it is Telefunken. So, okay, a lot of people are interested in outboard processors, compressors, limiters, EQs. I love this wireless mic. I got to get one of these for my phone. This is a unit from Denmark, and I happened to have one, I don't know, around August of last year for a while, and wrote it up for mix. It's a mastering compressor. The company is called Giraffe, G-Y-R-A-F, Denmark, Danish. It is a very mute tube compressor. It is a feed forward. Most compressors in the world are feedback topology. A VCA-based compressor is a feed forward. This is a tube feed forward compressor. I can only think of one other compressor that's feed forward and very mute, and that would be an old Siemens or EMI thing from the 60s. So the result of that type of topology, you get a very transparent sounding. And an interesting thing was that they use a modern solid-state electronics for all the control circuitry. So there's only 4 tubes in it. So you're able to have all types of really good control over the compression with the solid-state circuitry. It will switch from stereo, conventional left-right stereo, or mid-side. We're looking at the left channel, which is also the mid channel when you're in mid-side. It has variable linking. It has a very cool feature that when you are in a certain mode, these controls that you're looking at right here also operate the right channel. In other words, the pots are ganged. All those pots have gangs on a gang on the back, and a set of relays switches out the right channel controls over to this one. So when you turn up the input, both sides turn up equally, as well as the output and ratio, threshold, attack, and release. So I thought that was kind of a cool idea. It's not electronic. It's just, you're just switching the control pots over to these. So one set of pots. So I have a review coming in February, a mix. I really liked it a lot. There it is in the rack. Pardon me? It's variable mute tubes. No, there's no optical. Yeah, good question. So there's in my studio. I'm kind of messing around with it. Radio engineering. This box is designed by Hutch. Used to design for Manley. Ran into him at the show, and this is one of the trends I see a lot now in audio are very colorful. People are making very colorful boxes now, where you can saturate them and do all kinds of cool old analog tricks. And this is a direct box that has an opto compressor in it. Not sure about how that works, but clean to fat to colorful. You can overdrive. You get all these different tonalities with those controls on the front. So it's worth a try. It's a good company. Radio was recently sold, right? Somebody bought it. It's not. Yeah, Ultimate Support. Chris Lord-Alge asked me to take one of these, check it out. Black Lion makes this for him. This is a copy of his Bluey, his coveted, highly modified Revision A Blue Stripe 1176 that he says he's used on every lead vocal since way back. And it was modified somewhere along the line, and none of the parts are marked. It's kind of mysterious. So he had Blue Lion make up these copies. So he had Cinematic remake the original UTC transformer, which is on the Revision A, up to D, or up to E actually. And there you go. I haven't heard it yet, but another thing I see is on hardware now is wet-dry controls, which is something from plugins. You that use a plugin have a wet-dry control, but now in hardware, they're putting wet-dry controls on hardware, so you've got parallel processing built into the box. It's very smart. So you can squash the hell out of it and then wind it back and get more of the dry. It's great because you don't have to worry about any kind of phase or polarity stuff when you do parallel. Even in software, you can get into trouble with that using parallel processing. So Chris's Blue Stripe. Manley, is that the biggest picture of your power supply? Physically, it looks like this. What? Pass it around. Pass it around. So Ivana's all of the equipment that Ivana is making, she's slowly changing out the power supplies for this new switch mode. So all the new Manley, correct me if I'm wrong, Ivana, but all the new Manley massive passive, new Muse already have them. Manley Ref Gold mics and Voxbox all use these here. Hang on, babe.
Don't let me touch the microphone and get sick. Where's one of those bandanas? The anniversary reference cardioid mics we shipped out in November had this power supply. The silver mic was designed with it, so we're converting the production regular Ref C and gold mics. Sorry, I'm sick. I don't want to get him sick. To this. So.
Okay, awesome. Yep. Switchers kind of historically have been sort of verboten in audio gear, and if they're properly designed and implemented into the gear, it's okay. You don't have that problem. Yeah, it actually is, right. So a switcher has much higher instantaneous current capability. I have this new Mu. It's awesome. So there you go. So a switcher. Mic preamps. One of the hottest products, I got to say, is Phil Moore, Retro Instruments 500 Pre. He cannot make these fast enough. This is extremely popular preamp. It's a 500 module, and there's three 12AT tubes inside. 65 dB of gain. It'll accept up to plus 10. All the power comes from the 500 rack. I can explain, if you want to hear how it works. There's the 3 tubes. So what he's doing is the plate voltage comes from the phantom power, 48 volts. Okay, just hang on. The filament, the 3 12-volt tubes are in series, and they run off the plus and minus 16. Okay, so when you do all this, it turns out that it ends up pulling about 160 mA, which exceeds the VPR standard of 140 mA per slot, if you're familiar with that. So what happens is, even though it's a mic pre and it's amplifying, but it doesn't have to develop a giant voltage swing to drive, say, a speaker or an output amp. So he just puts a solid state amplifier on the end to drive the big transformer you see there. Okay, everybody follow how it works? So the net result is you have that input gain knob at the top. I think I have another. There's 2 of them in my rack. So the input gain knob is at the top, and then the output level. So it's sort of like a guitar amp, where you crank up the input level and then turn down the output, or and you blow up, you distort or saturate, and then you set the level with the output. So it is really good. I mean, I have to say, you can use a line input. You want to saturate something a little bit or a lot, you can do that really easily, and it's totally cool. Questions? You can jump in anytime with questions. There's the low gain is 2 of the tubes, and then high gain kicks into third. Yeah, it's cascade. Yeah. What is it? $800. So it is becoming very, very popular. So here's one you might not have caught. Millennium Media, a very highly regarded company, has 16 HV3s in one U. Okay, so this is a unit that is for very harsh environments and mission-critical applications, like a recording studio, live stage, scoring stages, where it has to work. It is remote controllable. Over a Dante network, you can send control signals and change gain, polarity, pad, mute, channel linking, the high-pass filter, and either the ribbon or the phantom inputs. His preamps have 2 different inputs, one for phantom and one for ribbon. So pretty beefy pro box. Simultaneous analog and Dante 32-bit 192 outputs. And he's using the new generation AKM A to D chips, so extreme dynamic range. In fact, he uses 2 separate chips. He splits the dynamic range in half and uses one chip for that, say, from 0 to, say, so much gain, right? And then another chip for the rest of the gain. So 2 chips, and that's how you get plus 32 dB of input headroom. Basically, you can't overload it. I don't care what you give it. And it's not going to be noisy if the level is low. So I can't imagine what the 16 channel, the base unit is $4,000. I can't imagine what 16 channel is, but this is probably less, maybe a little less. So I was impressed talking to John at Millennium Media. John Legras. Accoutrement, if you're French, accessories if you're not. First one is a PreSonus I/O station 24C. This combines the fader port with a little two in and 2 out interface. So the fader port is a Huey. Well, in Pro Tools it runs under Huey. Otherwise it's Mackie control, and it's of course totally native in PreSonus Studio One. So it's a motor fader and with a 2x2 interface in one unit. I can say I have the fader port. In other words, everything to the left of that vertical set of knobs there, everything from the left of that is a fader port. And I can say that it works great. I don't need a I don't need what I need now. Oh, here it is. I don't need the rest of it, just the fader port. So don't mind me standing over here, dude. I can't. So there's the front. Be ready for a lot of cables sticking out of the front of it. My fader port just has a USB, which is very, very clean on the desktop. So. Let's look at this. I think I have one here, yeah. So a popular recording technique for you people starting out, if you showed up with one of these clips and did this setup on a guitar amp, you probably have a job for life. It's just the coolest thing in the world. Here's one in my hand. So the idea is that you're mounting a 121, a Roy or their ribbon, and the SM57 side by side, and whenever you move them, they move together. So you're using one boom, one stand, and that in itself is worth the $40. Believe me. Here's what it looks like. I'm gonna pass it around. Check it out. The same company makes this one, and lots of different ones. This one is like for snare drums when you want to have a condenser. Thin, like a 452 or 451 AKG, and then the 57 side by side, and you can put them side by side on that kind of snare drum. Okay, so tonight's door prize raffle. Everyone get a ticket? Everyone's got a ticket? I'm not going to give it away now. At the end, this is Cali Audio's Bluetooth receiver. I have one of these in my studio. It's the handiest thing. So essentially, if I have music on a phone, or an artist comes in with music on their phone, they want to play a demo or whatever it is on the phone, they pair to this, and then you can play it on your monitors, speakers. I have it on my monitor controller, so it comes up like the CD player or my turntable. And has a volume control and CD quality over Bluetooth. Warm Audio came with a new pair of direct boxes. Direct box active, they call it, and direct box passive. So interesting feature is that they have a variable attenuator, both of them, which is very handy if you're running a very hot signal into them. For example, a mini Moog, which is almost line level, or keyboards, and you're able to crank it back so you don't distort it and or your mic pre. I would recommend getting the active because when you throw it to passive, essentially you're just switching in the passive direct box. So, and believe it or not, when I was testing it, I found that when I switched, I had something playing into it, and I would switch back and forth, active to passive, and had the variable pad turned all the way down. There was no difference in level. So somebody has got some good engineering chops, circuit design chops. So it also will take an amp speaker cable. Another product that's been out, I don't know, maybe a year, 2 years now, and they're stepping up somewhat. Flock Audio. This is a digitally controlled analog patch bay. So this is a small one, 16 by 16. So you have 4 DB25 connectors. There's 8 channels of audio on each one of those connectors. So 16 channels, sources, let's say, and then 16 destinations. So you can, with the software included, you can set up complete chains. If you have an EQ, you have a compressor, whatever, all in a chain, you can do it in the software, and this thing will route it for you. No more patch cords, in other words. 16 by 16 is a fair amount. I have an SSL box called an X patch. It's 16 by 16, and I'm kind of almost out. It's almost not enough. So then you got to go to this. Yeah, I think they make a 32 by 32, but you get the idea. This is 96 by 96. Relays. So there you go, relays and a lot of DB25s, more DB25 connectors than you'll see. It's a lot. The jacks on the front parallel, in this case, 1 and 2. So if you have a piece of gear come into the studio they want to use, they can just plug it in there and be ready to go. The 16 was 1500. Yeah. My only issue, I asked him about, well, what happens to the audio when it goes in there? And I'm not sure, but I think he said we have to unbalance it to switch it and then put it back in balance for output. So I'm a little, hello, yeah. Yeah. No, you can make it any way you want. Why would you do that? So what you do is you hook up all your outboard gear, let's say, and then that would be a destination. And then your buses or feed from your console or your DAW would be a source. So if I want 1 on my mixer to go to 10, which happens to be 1176, then you would make that in software. Yeah. Yeah, you can chain. Stack, I don't know about. Chain, you can chain. The one I have, I use to route my output of my mic pre's to my bitchin' A to D converter. So I have a stereo benchmark media, and I want like the highest quality. Then I have an X patch that routes whatever preamp I'm using to that A to D. Okay, Avid hooked up with Sonnet, and they're making this is one of the they had like 4 different new pieces of hardware at the show. This is a single card Thunderbolt 3 expansion chassis. So it holds 1 HDX card and comes pre-configured for Pro Tools, built-in power supply, quiet, all ready to go. Without card, $499. And then they also hooked up with Sonnet and come up with a Thunderbolt 3 chassis, Mini X server chassis. So inside of this 1U box, you have a Mac Mini, a card slot for a full-length card, in other words, an Avid HDX DSP card, and then a half-length card. The half-length card could be, for example, a UAD Octo DSP processor, which is half-length, or you could put in a card with SSDs all over it for your audio recording, and then the mini computer in there. All built-in cooling fans, connectors, feed-throughs, everything is there, including the on-off switch for the Mac. You might wonder, well, how do you turn the Mini on and off? It has a button on the front, and you put it inside a box, and you should see the contraption they have for that button there. It's like a linkage. I call it a Rube Goldberg. You know, you push the button and the hinge, and it kicks the dog, and the dog runs over there and turns on the computer. And anyway, they worked it all out. So pretty good way to get into a mini Pro Tools rig in one rack U. It is nice. Okay, so you might want to get one of these along with that. This is their Avid's new MTRX Studio 1U. I always look at the back of these boxes immediately. It's like when you buy food at the store or say a box of cereal. What do? You look at the ingredients, right? How much sugar and all that. I don't care what the front looks like too much anymore. I go to the back. So this one has got it. It is a complete Pro Tools and then some I/O box, HD I/O box. You got 2 mic inputs, 16 analog in and outs via those DB25 connectors. You have Dante, 64 channels. You have the 2 DigiLink ports, which would connect to your card. You guys know that, right? So you have and then you can do loop sync. You can clock it externally. Pretty cool. 18 channels total. it's built for Atmos, definitely built for Atmos. So you can do 12 channels for Atmos, for example, and still have, 4 channels left for monitoring. Importantly, it has the onboard SPQ speaker calibration, which is required for calibrating your Atmos speaker array, and that's built in. It doesn't run on your computer, it runs inside of the thing. So this is a good one. This is going to be a popular box for people setting up Atmos rooms. And I'm understanding that there's a big need for Atmos mixing. Tons of people want it. You know this, right? There's like Universal is looking around, trying to find places to set up or people that'll do it for them. So the Atmos apparently takes a little longer to finish in post-production. SSL showed up with 2 USB interfaces. This is this one sells for $229. It's got headphone, separate volume, SSL mic pre's. The 2 Plus gives you another headphone output and MIDI in and out. So you plug your MIDI stuff into it and it all goes out that USB cable. So let's look at some specs. $279 for the Plus. So if you're looking to set up a small setup, laptop, whatever, it would be a good choice. You got SSL mic pre's. So Motu, Mark of the Unicorn, came with M2 and M4. The top one is 2 in, 2 out. The bottom one is 4 in, 4 out. Also inexpensive. These prices are, I don't think you would ever pay more than these numbers, to be honest with you. You'd probably pay less. I mean, you could go online and Google some of this stuff and probably get a better price than that. But they're touting their ESS Sabre Ultra DAC and only 2.5 milliseconds with 32 sample buffer at 96K, which is pretty good. Pretty good. All USB or any of those types of interfaces, whatever, Thunderbolt, native rigs all have latency. It's not like an HDX rig. Another one, RME, German company. Told them I'd give them some love here. This is a DAC, and it's 2 of them there, really. It's the back panel. So you can see what the back looks like, and on the top. See, they get it. They get it. People look at the back. And the controller, the handheld remote, will control up to 4 of these things. So for Atmos again, maybe. That AK4493 is the latest AKM chipset, DAC chipset, so forth. It is USB, but you have coaxial, SPDIF, and optical, and they give you unbalanced line. Very, very nice of them to do unbalanced and balanced. Finally, Apogee showed the new Symphony desktop interface. They did not have one working, but they showed it's pretty. A touch screen, that's a touch screen right there. Guitar input on the front, headphones. Of course, it's going to have the same mic pre's and A to D, D to A as Apogee Symphony. It have to do that. It's a 10 in, 4 out, but it's 8 of those ins are 8-out light pipe. There's optical toss link. MIDI. You can use Logic Pro X direct button, which is a way to monitor pretty much latency free if you're using Logic. It's something in Logic, dual path link. So it talks to that. Yeah, so when it's real, I'll check it out. It's a little expensive. I'm looking at that number down at the bottom, but they're going with this Apogee Symphony, which sound very good. We'll see. This is the coolest and most fun thing I think I found. This is a guitar stomp pedal, but it's an interface. There's a USB connector on the side, and the screen is a little distorted. It's not quite that tall and skinny, but it's a guitar pedal. So the plan is you would put this on your pedal board and connect up over USB to a laptop with, say, a guitar sim or any number of those guitar plugins, distortion, reverb, whatever's in your laptop, and then you can drop it in and out with the stomp, the stomp button, just like any other pedal. It's like $125, I'm going to say, something like that. So USB-C. I just thought it was fun. Tiesco, it's a Taiwanese company, I believe. This is another fun thing I found out in Hall E. This is, you plug in your guitar, and on the other end of it is a USB cable. Pretty straight ahead. I took a picture with my cell phone there. Sorry about that. But that was down in Hall E. You see stuff like that. Yeah, I know. NAMM show. Only you would notice that. I actually did think about photoshopping that out, but what the hell. I'm only human. So price TBA. I think he told me a number, and I just remember it being really expensive for what it is. Okay, effects and toys. I guess this is somewhere in between an effect and a toy. It's sort of this is a drum pad, but it's only this big, about like yay. And so you have 16 pads, you have 6 continuous controller, and it's probably like $100 or something, $125. And it worked great. I mean, it had a great feel for little pads like that, and it's small. You could put that in your pocket. So for you laptop, want to go in with a pair of headphones and a laptop and do some programming out in the park or something, this is a perfect thing. Work in Ableton, whatever. Okay, this one I have at home right now. And there's enough old people in this room to know what the RMX 16 is. Raise your hand, everyone knows what the original box is. Okay, good to know. This is AMS Neve, who bought, actually AMS Neve bought Neve back in the day. AMS did, well, the parent company. And this is a 503 slots and a 500 rack of the RMX 16, which came out in 1981. So everyone that raised their hand, telling your age, but I used to just be all over this thing back in the day, mixing. So it is a 16-bit digital reverb back then. They have managed to somehow get it in this small box. It does and sounds exactly like the original unit, although an AB would be kind of stupid because I'd be ABing it to a 40-year-old piece of gear. So it's a little unfair. I mean, who knows the condition of the capacitors and all that stuff in that old gear. But it has all the same programs. The original unit came with 9 programs only. And this one comes with those original 9 programs, plus it comes with, they call 9 aftermarket programs. So 18 total. The 16-bit sound of the 80s. Yeah, baby. There it is on non-Lin 1. It's all there. I never knew about these other programs back in the day. Apparently, Eventide released a rare remote control on the left there that you would put, where you're mixing, and you could change programs from a cable. Did you ever saw that? Anybody ever see that? You work at a rental place. Yeah. You own one. You have one of those. Those are very, very rare. Back in the day, they were like $1,500. And the thing next to it is a HP barcode reader. Yeah, they made it for supermarkets. So the way this works is that sheet of paper on the right is a program that runs in the AMS RMX16. So they would give you these sheets of paper. You didn't buy them. You'd ask for them, you'd get them, and you would scan that barcode on that piece of paper with that reader, and it would go into the AMS, and that was another program. Unbelievable. But we're talking, 1980s technology there. Yeah. The delay? Yeah, the DMX 15, maybe. The DMX 15 was their second product AMS made. This is their third. The RMX is the third product. The first product they made was a flanger phaser in 1978. And this is their third product. The DMX was a 15-bit digital delay. Came out mono first, and then stereo later on, but 15-bit. So they'll get to it, but everyone loves that thing. It's a very unique sound, those boxes. So is this thing. And this is even more kind of cool. I'm going to get one of these in about a month to review for mix. This is the H9000. You probably heard of that, but this one is got the Pro Tools expansion card, which means that it turns that box into a full-on HDI I/O. So it has the DigiLink sockets. You can sync it, loop sync, internal, word clock, all of it, just like an I/O box. If you hang it off one of the spigots of the HDX card, there's two. One HDX card will handle 64 channels. So if you hang it off one of those spigots on an HDX card, you'll have 32 channels. And it will be just like a regular I/O. The thing is, it's 32 channels of eventide effects. It's insane. This is insane. You'll be able to have 1 and 2 could be a compressor in and out, 3 and 4 could be a reverb in and out, 5 and 6 could be a harmonizer in and out. All of that power just by putting this on your I/O. So I'm really looking forward to this. I'm going to unplug some of my I/O boxes and plug this thing in.
This is software?
No, that's an H9000.
And what's the price point of that?
Well, the bare unit with the front panel, they make a blank panel, by the way, because it can be controlled by over Wi-Fi on a software. I'm getting the blank panel because I don't want to look at that in my rack. And the software fully controls it much easier than trying to, dial enter, dial parameter. Price, I think the blank panel one, which is about $1,000 less than this, is going to be about $7,000 large. Yeah. Right, exactly. That's the one I want. Because both of them are the same. It's just you're paying $1,000 more to have all that on the front. So, well, it's just, I'm not going to look into that thing and have to get close enough to try to dial in parameters. I'd rather do it on a nice computer screen. So, anyway. Oh, it's insane. So you can either do 16 channel I/O. If you plug another interface in the back of that one, you can loop them in Pro Tools. It would be 16, or you run it on only one HDX spigot, and you get 32. Avid came out with the S4, which, like the S6, uses the Yukon protocol. I guess the big difference besides price is that it's not as modular. You have to kind of buy it one way. S6, you can have the modules in any order and all kinds of different nice things. But essentially, I'm getting that it's just as good. It's just you don't have as many options in terms of what fader is where and where the EQ is and what the controllers are and all that. So the S4, that starts at 24 large. So you can control Media Composer, Pro Tools, Logic Pro, Cubase, all those except the Yukon protocol. I had to include at the other end of the spectrum Tascam Model 12 just because it was just clever for live and EDM creation or something like that, it has a 12-track recorder built in, and it records to an SD card. In addition to that, it has a layer to control your DAW layer with the faders. So conceivably, you could record, and in other words, you could back up the sound that you're recording on the SD card and at the same time record into Pro Tools or something and then do a mix. So I just thought it was really one of those cool products at the NAMM show. $600 retail. Come on. I have trouble saying this word, the name of this company. Vocia, I don't know what it is. It's called Vocia Doubler Studio Kit. So if you look at the kind of cryptic GUI there, realize that it is a real-time vocal recognition MIDI controller. Translates, in other words, it pitch tracks your voice to control melodic instruments and synths. So comes with a USB microphone and software. You sing into it or you sing a note, it'll read it, and you can have it play a synth or just record it. You can make beatbox noises. You go, and each one of those sounds could trigger a virtual drum kit. So I imagine that you're going to see some people using this live on stage. You can hum a melody or a synth pattern, even like an arpeggiated and kind of pattern. It'll pick it up and trigger synthesizers. So that was pretty fun to watch that thing work. Vocia, I think you say it, Vocia. Luna is Universal Audio's DAW system. Quite a big crowd around their booth at the show. You basically couldn't get in there to even see a demo. It was crazy. I've talked to a couple of people that have it. They love it. It's a free download in the spring coming up. It runs on Macs only. It's not compatible with older Apollo units like the Apollo Firewire or Twin USB. It requires you have to have a Thunderbolt-equipped Apollo or Aero only. So they are factoring in, they're doing an Avid here, they're tying you to their hardware and their DSP chip, right, the UAD world, and I wish them good luck. Maybe they do it right. But the idea is that you get DSP assisted, like Pro Tools, a robust recording system with minimal latency. So we'll see. It looks pretty. Here's a piano that comes with it. Here's a synthesizer, pretty nice. Another one, Waves. This is another company. Waves had the vocal resynthesizer. It reminds me of a joke one time. This producer told me he was recording a band, and the bass player was really bad. Anyway, the band left, and he had somebody replay the bass part and didn't tell the bass player. And the bass player came back and he says, "Man, what did you do to my bass?" And he didn't want to tell him. He just couldn't do it. And so he said, "I put it through the resynculator." And he says, it lines it all up, puts it in pitch, it makes it all groovy, and the guy bought it, whoa. And anyway, I saw that resynthesizer. So this is a plug-in, a standalone or a plug-in. Creates vocoder, talkbox, harmonizer, pitch tune vocal effects. What it does is you sing into it or take a vocal track. It breaks it down into amplitude, pitch, and the formant elements, and then re-synthesizes it. But before each one of those parameters, amplitude, pitch, and formant, you're able to use traditional synthesizer tools such as an LFO, arpeggiators, and filters to process those parts of your voice, if you follow me. Okay, so amplitude, they could modulate with an LFO. In pitch, they could modulate or change. And the formants, which are the partials that are the constituents of a sound that define its timbre, you can mess with those. So you have to hear this thing. It's very, very interesting. It has an 8-voice polysynth, and it's $69. So I don't know. It's pretty pretty powerful thing if you are tasteful with it. Yeah. What's that? Another plug-in introduced, well, it was introduced at the AES in New York, but no one knows about it much. It's called Drumgate by Sonox. This is a gate for kick, snare, tom-toms. Why do I only say those three? Because it actually looks for the sound of a snare drum and no other sound. So if you're trying to gate leakage off of a whatever, sometimes the leakage is so loud it's just impossible with just a straight threshold setting. So this thing actually looks for the sonorities and timbre of a snare drum and lets that through. Pretty clever, and it works very well. The presets are very good if it's kind of daunting to kind of dive into. This is just two of the screens. It's a little daunting to jump in on this thing quickly, but and also makes a MIDI signal too. You can use one of the presets, and they're very, very good. Okay, so I don't really listen to much of anything at NAMM shows or any shows for that matter. I really don't listen to anything. People want me to listen to stuff all the time, and I just don't. This was up on the second floor in the ACC. It's called Reflector Audio's Q1818 loudspeakers. This system sells for $70,000. I have some more pictures. Yeah. The idea, they call it a baffle-free horn loudspeaker, and so it relies on reflecting off that wall. In this case, looks like a window. So it has very specific distances that it has to be from the window, and you have to sit in a very specific location, and it reflects off that window behind them. So this, when I walked into their booth, this is my point of view, is where I was standing, okay? And the guy said, well, we'll give you the amplifiers for free. And so what we're looking at here is left and right speakers so close together, and then in this tiny little room, it's all the room they had in the room, and I'm standing there, and the guy's playing this music, and I said, yo, dude, I'm not getting a lot of stereo out of this thing. You know, what's up? And so he said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll play a stereo and I'll mono it, and then I'll go back to stereo. You hear the difference. So I'm listening, and he's playing something. And I said, let me know when you do that, because it was like a joke. I mean, I told him, I said, you know, that thing needs to be in a much bigger room. That's for a big space. And anyway, don't get me started. So I know. Did he? Yeah. I don't get it. I told him, I said, man, you got to put those things in a box. There's some ugly stuff, man. It's just another example of so many clueless people at the NAMM show. All right, here's my favorite little small monitor speakers. I have a pair of these at my place. IK Multimedia's iLoud. Little powered monitors, reference monitors. Yes, they're made out of plastic. You can put them on their side widthwise. You know, I have them vertically. That is a measurement microphone on the right. It comes with that. You before you use them, it has a self-calibration mode. You hold the mic a certain distance, and it pings them in about a minute each, and you have them calibrated to your space. So this is my desktop. You can see that I have them on either side of my flat panel Pro Tools monitor. I think you can see them. It's kind of dark, but you can get a relative idea of their size. There's the fader port on the right and all that stuff. So they're awesome. I'm using them right now for a second pair of monitors. So I have Chris's NS10s up there, and then on the left and right I have my main monitors, which I'll show you in a minute. But yeah, small speakers tend towards kind of a nasally quality, but they have a lot of bass for the size speaker. I think they're $6.99 a pair with the microphone. So it uses a new technology. The microphone is MEMS, which is the microphone element is made in the same way as a surface mount transistor. You might want to Google, if you're interested, Google MEMS capsule or microphone, and you can read about how that works. It's not a conventional method. KRK came out with a new version of their Rocket 5. It's called the Classic 5. This is what I'm using for my mains. Cali Audio. $400 each. I love them. It is a three-way speaker. You see the woofer. What looks like just a mid-range is really the mid-range, and in the center is a tweeter. And they worked very hard to make that work. Think about it. You have a vibrating cone with the mid-range, and how does that affect the high frequencies? And they've worked it out. The advantage of a coaxial design or coincidence is that you have a single acoustic point source. So instantly when you put these things up, you definitely get a very strong and solid stereo imaging because all the mids and highs are coming from the same location in space. That makes sense to everybody? So like the old people remember the old Altec 604E coaxial speakers. In fact, Ivana, you still make those tannoys? Tannoy. Yeah. Ivana makes a tannoy version of that in a box. They're very nice. But Altec made them too. They also just came out with a subwoofer. It's not quite ready yet, but 1,000 watts. It is useful for both live or studio work. It's big too. It's really big. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about MIDI 2.0. Already we have Roland has a keyboard and controller that is MIDI 2.0 ready. It's called an AAE8. Let's look at this. Let me get my notes. So MIDI came around 1983. It's been in use ever since. It's been pretty good. It connects computers to keyboards, keyboards to keyboards, and it's been pretty great. However, it needs an update. MIDI 2.0, we're now going to have bidirectional feature, and the bidirectional feature means that every device on a MIDI 2.0 network is talking to each other. There is a let me play the next. Okay, so this is pretty illustrative of what's going on. The MIDI in the center there, you have MIDI. It's interrogation. It's called compatibility inquiry. So what happens is when you put a new device or you fire up the system, it interrogates all devices on the system. It wants to know, are you a MIDI 1.0? Are you MIDI 2.0? Are you a keyboard? Are you a drum sounds? Do I need to convert? Protocol negotiation means that I'm going to convert 2.0 data to 1.0 or 1.0 data to 2.0. It'll do that. It's backward compatible. So you can see that a long overdue update is coming, and Roland has that first keyboard that does it. Let's read some more while you're looking at that, because that's, I guess I can't. Doesn't matter. Most MIDI is over USB connectors now anyway. Yeah. So the 3 Ps, profile configuration. One thing is you can configure a device for a particular use. It'll query a device with a mixer profile, then the controls are mapped to faders, pan pots, and other mixer parameters. Or if the device is an organ, it'll configure it for drawbars on an organ. You get the drift, what goes on. So I'm a Hammond organ. I need the controllers to be the drawbars. On and on and on. There's a lot coming on this. And I obviously need to do some more reading. So let's go on. MIDI 2.0. The other big news, and in fact, I got emails already from Qualcomm this week, yesterday actually, on some of this stuff. Qualcomm is one of the big companies that make the Bluetooth chips. So the Bluetooth Special Interest Group, SIG, 9 out of 10 speakers will ship with Bluetooth functionality by 2023. In other words, every speaker you buy will have a Bluetooth ability. 50% of headphones sold today are Bluetooth equipped. And it used to be they were only available in the more expensive, and now it's everywhere. I have a pair of $20 wireless headphones at home, $20, Bluetooth. And so that's where it's going. The originally specified Bluetooth was not designed for quality, low latency, or any extra feature sets. So you had codecs come up, aptX, which is owned by Qualcomm, and Sony's LDAC have helped to help the sound, but really a new Bluetooth audio core is, we need this. So what would new Bluetooth be like? Well, first of all, higher quality for all devices. Big problem with Bluetooth is doesn't sound as good as a wire. Latency has been a really big problem. You can't use Bluetooth headphones in a recording studio because everything is going to be late to you. So you can't have wireless headphones in the studio. So the latency issue is really demanded by the gaming market. They want the explosion to be heard when they blow up the building. The explosion has to happen in sync with the picture. A big thing is going to be multi-channel audio for immersive sound. That's coming. And the biggest change will be broadcasting simultaneously to multiple paired Bluetooth receivers. Think about it. You could have a whole concert and no PA speakers. And you would have a studio quality mix in stereo or immersive, and everyone is just grooving in their seats, all connected, paired to multi-channel Bluetooth. So look for maybe a couple of years. That's going to take a while, but that's kind of where it's going. Yeah. Not that I know of. It's generally a local, in the same room, world. So, but I'm not an expert. I only know what they tell me. They say by summer that Qualcomm will have the chipset running. Yeah, well, they've got to solve the latency and the quality issues first. Ooh, that's cool. Now right here, I get a real flangey sound. Do I sound flangey out there? Kind of flangey? It's at 2.4 gigahertz. That's a very crowded band. All your baby monitors and all that stuff. Some Wi-Fi is on those frequencies, so maybe they're expecting to get a new frequency band. I don't know on that. Could be. If 5G doesn't take it up. So let's give away a prize. Everybody get your tickets ready. I'm done. Thank you. Who would like like to draw the ticket? I'll draw it. Everyone got a ticket in there?
Everyone have a ticket?
He needs a ticket. Anybody else
Dan?
need a ticket? Yeah, we got some customers.
I've got no more on me. Do we have?
Hook them up. We got
Oh gosh.
two.
All right, hang on just a second.
Anybody have any more questions about what happened? The mess I just made? There was a thing about the lawyer. Yeah, the clip. Yeah, mic clip. I pass it around. I hope I get it back. It's only $40. There was a gentleman who was, I guess, helped out lawyer with the design. Yeah, the guy at SLR. It's a joint between SLR. I forget his name right now. Yeah. Anyway, he was saying that the alignment of the ribbon and the face of the diaphragm, they should be right in line with each other, or else you'll have. Well, there's actually a marking. Where is that thing right now? Who's got it? The Royer clip. I want it back. You want to avoid phasing issues more than that. Who's got the clip? Let me have it. Give me that. Have you got it? Give me that. Oh, he's got everything. He's got Ivana's power supply, both clips. Shit, man.
I want.
Yeah, on the Royer clip, let me show you how it works here. There is a dot. There's a dot right on the clip, and you line up on a 57. You have the windscreen, and then there's a gap. You hold the mic, and you move the mic to this dot on this clip, and that puts it in line with the ribbon in the Royer. I went through a whole number on that whole thing here.
So we need a drum roll. And then,
The gentleman from the school here is going to do the drawing, and he's going to read the ticket number.
All right, the winner is 444078. Anyone?
444.
078. Hey.
All right.
we have a winner. Shonda.
Is that Shonda? Come on down.
No, you'll.
So while we're waiting for Shonda to come down, I'd just like to
There you go. Have
ask
fun with
for a round of applause for the school who has allowed us to have our meeting in this beautiful facility. And before you leave, please look around and pick up after yourselves and whoever else. Let's leave the place better than we found it. That's a lovely prize.